back to my live stream. Well, I'm going to do my Monday Night Raw review. This is Jacob Cast 2024. We're playing WWE 2K25, and we're going to talk about WWE Monday Night Raw, June 23rd. Now, this will be an hour and 10 minutes. This video was sponsored by my favorite podcaster, Fightful Pro Wrestling, Salamaster Sound Off, JD from New York, Joe Cronin, No DQ, Post Wrestling, and Good My Work Commentaries, and all the other favorite podcasters and YouTubers that I know who are part of the IWC. I just want to say thank you for watching, thank you for all the support. Hit that like button, leave a comment, please subscribe to my channel. Let me know in the comment section below you guys want to see more. Make sure you also subscribe to my channel. Enjoy this video. Alright, now we are going to talk about Monday Night Raw. So, Monday Night Raw was okay. Nothing much happened. For a go-home show, nothing much happened. All we know is that Jade Cargill is going to go in the final with Asuka and Night Champions. Cody Rhodes is going to the finals to face Randy Orton. We had an interesting segment, Cross on PLE. They might have canceled Dominic and AJ Styles. Apparently, Dominic Mysterio might be injured. Apparently, he might be injured because he wasn't on the show tonight to confront AJ Styles. So apparently, they might have canceled Dominic and AJ Styles. So it looks like we lost an IC title. It looks like we might be getting Karrion Kross and Sami Zayn at Night Champions. So Karrion Kross will be on the PLE. Sami Zayn will be in Saudi Arabia against Karrion Kross. It's just a throwaway match. It's just a filler match on the filler show because, well, they need 5 matches because they already lost one with Dominic and AJ. So there's no Intercontinental title defending on the pay-per-view. Now, I'm happy for Karrion Kross. Kross should be on pay-per-view. He should be plus. Sami Zayn should be plus. So I believe that match has to be on the show. So there's that. And then you got the Queen of the Ring with Asuka and Jade Cargill. And then the King of the Ring with Randy Orton and Cody Rhodes. And then you got who else was on the show? Oh yeah, well, we had Solo Sikoa and Jacob Fott too for the U.S. title. And we had John Cena and CM Punk for the WWE Championship. That's 5 matches on the card. Alright, so nothing much happened on the show. The show opened up with Seth Rollins, the same old promo. Rollins lays out the game for his his fashion. Still don't have a name. He still don't have a new theme song. Comes out there, said the same old thing they said last time. I'm getting less and less interested in the new fashion. If already Seth talking, Paul Heyman hadn't talked. Braun Breaker and Bronson Reed haven't even said anything. We still don't have an explanation why they even joined Seth Rollins. None from Bronson Reed, they haven't really talked. They're nothing but lackey. They're pretty much Rollins' bitches. They've been lackey. They've been bodyguards. Now, we did get a very good match with Braun Breaker and Penta. That was the first match on the show. Braun Breaker had a very good match. A dominant win. I actually loved how he won, how he got him with the spear. Crowd loved it. Both guys are getting over. He beat Penta, and I think Seth Rollins said something to Penta after he lost. This is the only choice. Stay out of my way. Now we got update on Liv Morgan. We won't know if they didn't announce anything whether Liv and Raquel are gonna relinquish the women's tag team titles. We saw Raquel out there, but not those tag team titles. Based on what we saw with Raquel and Roxanne, maybe Roxanne might be tag team champion with Raquel. I don't know. I have to wait and see. I don't think we saw Finn Balor tonight or J.D. McDonough. Braun Breaker snapped Penta in a half with Unreal Spear. That was a great way to end the match. We had a Goldberg segment. Now Goldberg wasn't on the show tonight. It was in a segment, a vignette with he was being interviewed by Michael Cole. Goldberg promised to make Gunther life a living hell. Man, I can't go Bill Goldberg, Oldberg. I can't wait until we get the Saturday Night Main Event and we get this match over with. So we got Jay Cardell versus Roxanne Perez. Jay beat Roxanne in a very good match. The match was very good. It was decent. Jay got the victory. She will now advance. So we had a Gunther promo where Gunther comes out, buried Goldberg with Fiery virtual takedown. It was a decent promo. Goldberg's not there, so Gunther got carried this feud. As I said earlier, we had a backstage segment with Sami Zayn punching Karrion Kross, and then Kross was laughing, along with Scarlett. Yeah, so, yeah. We had to have a backstage segment with Penta and Chad Gable. I don't know what Chad Gable was doing. He hadn't really done much since World Collide in Money in the Bank. He didn't come out Grande Americano. He came out Chad Gable. He had a backstage segment with Penta. Are these two going to feud? It looks like they're feuding. They've been feuding since, since like January. Yeah, so, Penta slapped Chad Gable. We also had a very good match with Becky Lynch and Bayley for the Women's Intercontinental title. Lyra interrupted, cost Bayley the match by going after Becky, causing the match in the DQ. The match was very good, but ending the DQ. I think we're looking at a triple threat match with Becky, Lyra, and Bayley, like we all predicted that was gonna happen. That probably should be a night champion, but what do I know? They might do it as Saturday Night Main Event. We'll have to wait and see what happens there. But yeah, tension, yeah. The build is rising. There's a little bit of heat with Lyra and Bayley and then Becky. We actually had a brawl for some reason with Raquel and Rhea. Rhea Ripley gets ambushed by Raquel Rodriguez, and then Roxanne Perez helped Raquel put Rhea to a table, and Raquel and Roxanne stood tall. Where's Io Sky? Io Sky been on TV for a while. She hadn't really done anything with her title. She had no one to feud with. Maybe building to Raquel and Rhea or Roxanne. Eventually someone's going to take that title off of Io Sky. I don't think we saw Stephanie Valkyrie tonight. Where the hell is she? Alright. Now, Mike will show you all the other podcasters on the show tonight. Hold on. Show y'all no DQ. Hold on.
I'm Kristi Noem, the United States Secretary of Homeland Security.
Alright, come on now. Damn commercial.
Jade Cargill officially advances to the Queen of the Ring final against Asuka. Asuka appeared on the stage, and the two of them had a face-off to lead into this Saturday's Night of Champions pay-per-view. To me, Jade was the odds-on favorite from the beginning this tournament was announced. Not surprised at all. I think she will win, and she might even win the title from Tiffany Stratton at SummerSlam, and I could see the Naomi cash-in
win this match. Like, listen, he's the one that I think is being set up for main event level stuff for next year. Now, I do believe that Sami Zayn could compete for the world title at WrestleMania. If not him, I think that it'll be Braun Breaker on a turn on Seth Rollins. Because if you think about this, there are so many parallels to Evolution, right? That was over 20 years ago. Think about that. 20 years since the Batista turn. So they're going to start recycling some of that stuff now. They're going to. That midair spear was really, really good. Braun Breaker did incredible here, and again, even though there was a small botch, I thought that they played this off really well, and Seth Rollins was able to bridge that gap until next week. Gable is backstage. He's talking to Ivy Nile, and he's like, listen, no disrespect to anybody else, you're my favorite student, and starts to put her over a little bit. Then he goes off on Penta, and he starts like kind of bullying him. And you want to talk about a very smart way to get somebody's heat back without doing 50-50 booking? This was a really good way, in my opinion. So a lot of times what you would see, especially in WWE, is somebody would lose a match, then they would get their heat back by beating up the person, which means that nobody really gets over in that. In this situation, Penta gets his heat back on a guy that provokes him. He's not being a bad sport. He's not being like hot-headed or anything like that. He's defending himself pretty well.
Leave and had to be there because of everything going on. Now the talent will be leaving tomorrow and Wednesday. So again, this is one of those situations where you're hoping for the best. But Santi, what has been your thought process? Seeing all of this, obviously on the wrestling side, given that, hey, it is a very scary situation to be sending the talent and the crew and everybody over right now to Saudi Arabia.
Yeah, it's also minute by minute. What we're talking about right now, within an hour or two, could legitimately be old news. We don't know where things are going to go. They've announced a ceasefire, but it's like a 6-hour gap window before the ceasefire officially begins. Maybe something happens in between there. I don't know. All right, these are geopolitical conversations that are so above my head. But all I can really say is, if there is an inkling, a 1% chance of danger for the WWE talent, then they should just not go there. That's my opinion. Maybe they're getting assurances, extra protection. I don't know. Again, I'm not privy to any of those conversations or how something like this might go down. I would like to assume that
219? What are you doing? Sit up.
Now let's show you all the other part characters.
Then I don't think anyone would blame them for that. And if that is what's happened, then that's what's happened. And that's absolutely fine in my book.
our side, we can see it.
Okay, let me.
Can you imagine back in 1996 you get released by the WWE? There's nothing you can do. Like,
In the US, do you guys have Mike's Hard Lemonade? That stuff is so good. Mike's Hard Lemonade, I think, was
Friday, day of the show, who knows? Because it's such a
fire or anything like that. I thought that by the point where we were at as of this morning, I would have hoped that they had a plan B situation.
Roman Reigns got tackled through that barricade. I was like, see you at SummerSlam, bro. See you at SummerSlam, bro. I mean, at this stage, outside of maybe one more run, if Roman Reigns says that he's wrapping up in the next few years, which is something that he has intimated, right? There is not a big reason for him to be involved in the title picture. Now, he hasn't been in over, like, what, a year and a couple months now since he lost the title. But, like, he's also going to probably be putting some people over. If he is sincerely wrapping up within a few years, I'll have to put over some people in some one-on-ones as well, I think. I feel like that is integral to do after you've built this man for over a decade and all that. But I figure he'll be back at SummerSlam.
And get into what we got here because we got quite a bit that we gotta get into. All right, so let me see where we're at here. We got Saif Jen Super here who says, "Hi, these Seth Rollins promos are literal death. Worse than Triple H 2003. Show picked up once Gunther cut a promo through the main event, but just was just a me thing, or did you feel the same way, or just the opposite?
No, I think we have some similarities in terms of how I felt. I didn't think it was a bad promo. It just felt like a promo for somebody whose plans haven't started yet. You know, they have clearly big things planned for Seth Rollins, but they aren't starting yet. You know, I feel like they're going to start closer to SummerSlam. That's going to be, a big program for the WWE. But right now, Seth Rollins is just sort of in a hamster wheel, doing kind of the same thing over and over again, probably until his big major feud can actually properly start, which I'm presuming is going to be LA Knight. He just sort of feels like he's on standstill until maybe post Night of Champions, then we can maybe get a little bit more substance here from the Seth Rollins character and a little bit further movement towards his motivations. But here's the thing, in my opinion, even once the LA Knight feud starts, that's not what I want to get out of this Seth Rollins. We all know what we want. We want the feud with Roman. We want a world championship run. Like that to me, like when Seth wins that world championship, when he cashes in the Money in the Bank briefcase, that to me will be the real start of Seth Rollins' heel run. That's when I think we'll be. I feel like we're in the prequel, basically. Like we're still just setting up pieces. And once that cash-in happens, I think we'll say, okay, we're here, we've arrived, the Seth Rollins heel run is properly started. So right now, it does sort of feel like we're just sort of kicking a can down the road until we get to the inevitable real start to this run.
Yeah, because after WrestleMania and Raw after Mania, this was the biggest thing, right? That everybody was talking about. Seth Rollins' new faction, and oh my gosh, now Braun Breaker's in this, Bronson Reed is in this, and just everything that's come about from that. And now, you mentioned this pause, is what it feels like. When you said, oh, you know, the right now, obviously he addressed LA Knight, so we know that that's been brewing for a little bit. This does not feel like the big thing, though, and it doesn't feel like the big thing because WWE hasn't really done much with LA Knight and the buzz that he had for a while, and so that has sort of mellowed out to the point where, like you said, the person we're waiting for is Roman Reigns, and it feels a little bit weird right now that Roman Reigns has really not yet been seen. He hasn't really been heard from. We don't really know what's going on. I know he's got other things going on, you know, outside of WWE. Clearly, Roman Reigns is a very busy man. We know that, but it feels that how important this whole thing was, we need to continue matching that because right now, what's the real big, like honestly, think about it. What's the real big feud besides John Cena and CM Punk for the men?
Nuts.com is a snacking utopia.
There is none.
All over the world, I actually don't.
And it's a big gap, exactly. Sure. And us, you know, as big a fan as we are of all those
wait,
guys, sure.
Gunther Goldberg. How are we just going to disparage this?
I'm not, but I don't see that on the same kind of level of everything else.
It isn't. It isn't on the same level as everything else. Right now, everything is several stories below the importance of John Cena CM Punk. Right now, for sure.
Yeah, so that's kind of, I'm looking at this and going, this is not what this should be. Considering that Seth Rollins was the most talked about thing coming off of WrestleMania, we need to keep that going. We need to keep making sure that that feels strong and alive. But yeah, I wasn't that big of a fan of this promo, but that's where we were essentially at with this, though. What I was a fan of, though, is what we saw between Braun Breaker and Penta here tonight with Braun Breaker defeating Penta. The best part, of course, was when Penta hit him with Canadian Destroyer. That was great because Braun Breaker is such a pretty big guy. And then two, when Braun Breaker actually speared Penta after Penta had springboarded off the second rope, and he ends up finding just this mid-air spear collision from Braun. That was freaking cool. So for the most part, this was a fun match.
I thought the match was fantastic. I think up until Jay and Cody, which I ended up really liking, I thought there was a lot of drama there. I thought that Penta versus Braun Breaker was the best match of the night. They had just such great chemistry with one another. I also just thought it was kind of cool, even though clearly Penta is not to the level of Seth Rollins kind of guy. It's kind of cool to see Penta in the same kind of gravitational pull as somebody of the name of a Seth Rollins. One of the things that I said in my chat, it's so funny that we're talking about this, at the very beginning of the stream, I said, hey, we haven't really talked about how WWE hasn't actually screwed up Penta. that's kind of surprising. I really thought that they were going to screw him up completely, and they haven't screwed him up. And it's kind of cool that he's having a moment, a micro feud with somebody the likes of Seth Rollins. I just don't feel like in previous regimes the guy with the mask from Mexico would have gotten the same level of I guess like presentation and added into main event programs. Like it just wouldn't have happened.
Yeah, I do like that too. The one thing that I was trying to think of though, after like Money in the Bank, I felt like there hadn't really been that much going on with Penta, so I was glad that they even booked this match with him and Braun Breaker here today. I did enjoy that. And the other thing that we saw with Penta today was he also attacked Chad Gable backstage, which we know Chad Gable and him have a lot of history now at this point in WWE. They've had multiple matches against each other, but also, I mean, I think they got to keep doing stuff like this with Penta. I love that confrontation he had with Chad. Of course, Chad was, getting annoying, being in his face, and Penta basically taught him a lesson. But going back to that thing with Seth Rollins and Penta, I love this because Seth was trying to basically Seth was trying to scare him. And I thought, bro, this is the guy that has cero miedo. He's not afraid of anything. So I kind of want to see that play out. I want to see Penta really show them, like, hey, I'm not afraid of you or your guys. Like, I don't give a damn.
No, I'm down for that. I hope it leads to Penta versus Seth Rollins. It's a match Penta is going to lose, but I still want to see that.
But it'll be good, though, because that's the thing, though. Regardless of how I feel about Seth Rollins' promos, I love Seth Rollins as a wrestler. As a wrestler, I always think his matches are fun, and the reason why I like Seth Rollins' matches, Santi, is because he has really good pacing in his matches, where there's not a lot of downtime. There's not a lot of down periods, and I'm the person that gets like easily bored if we start, slowing shit down. I like things to feel a little bit more fast paced. And so Seth Rollins in there with Penta, who also, works at a pretty decent pace, just seeing both of those guys together, I think could make for a really good matchup.
I agree entirely.
We got Rahu P here who says Asuka versus
Alright, let's go into Just Alex, another podcaster who talk about wrestling. Or not, let's go into Salamaster Sound Off. Jason Salamaster.
to mess any of this up, but it didn't. So Jade Cargill wins. We'll talk about the match in just a second, but she did have a confrontation with Asuka, who Asuka defeated Alexa Bliss. So now we know it's going to be Jade versus Asuka in the finals, Night of Champions, and the winner will go on to face, whomever they want as the champion, right? The respective champion of their brand. And backstage, we had a confrontation between Asuka and Io. Now, this is a dream match that a lot of people have been wanting to see. Two of these girls that can just go to town. Santi, I know Io is your favorite, and Asuka is a damn great professional wrestler. Do you prefer to see this outcome where we end up with Asuka versus Io, or do you prefer to see the situation, the outcome with Jade Cargill versus Tiffany Stratton?
I just want to point something out. We had a full Raquel Rodriguez promo and brawl with Rhea Ripley. She had like 10 minutes of TV time, and Io Sky, our women's world champion, can hardly get 30 seconds during a commercial break. That was a commercial break segment. All right, just remember that. All right. So because of that, even though they're already laying down the seeds for Asuka versus Io, one of the things that I've had to just sort of come to the realization is that if it happens in commercial break, it doesn't mean anything until it actually manifests itself on the non-commercial break edition of the show. Look at everything they did with Ludwig Kaiser. We thought he was going to get a Mania match, all of these moments on commercial break during Monday Night Raw. Now he's relegated to appearing in the background today for the first time in months during the Chad Gable Penta segment. So because that happened on commercial break, it leads me to believe that they have no intention of having Asuka win this thing. They could still be very well going towards Asuka Io Sky. You can get there naturally without Asuka winning the Queen of the Ring tournament. But I feel it in my gut, in my loins, everywhere. Jade's winning this.
Yeah, I think that was kind of where I was at with this from the beginning. So I kind of hope that it was funny because when I was looking at the King of the Ring and the Queen of the Ring brackets, I was most excited for the was wrong about. But that's where we're at, though, with the talent and the pool of women performers that we have here in this tournament. That this backstage happened. So I do want to take a second, though, and talk about the Jade Cargill Roxanne Perez match, though, because one of my favorite things, Roxanne is in my top 5 favorite WWE women. I just think she's so freaking talented, such a great wrestler. But I've said this before, I really love Roxanne Perez, especially when she works with girls that are a lot bigger than her in size, because even though Roxanne is a small, petite performer, she fights big. She's got big girl energy when she goes into the ring, and I thought she gave Jade Cargill a hell of a match. I loved the entire match. I didn't love the finish. The finish looked a little bit like wonky, mainly because Jade Cargill's pump kick didn't necessarily land too well on Roxanne, and then it kind of just seemed like there was a little bit of indecision towards the end. But the actual matchup I definitely enjoyed, especially because it felt like Roxanne was just someone made a joke that Roxanne was basically handling this mountain of a woman during the match, and that's really what we saw there. But Santi, Jade, Roxanne, did this do anything for you?
I thought the match was okay, and then the finish kind of like soured me on it. I wasn't I'm not gonna walk out wanting to rewatch this match. Basically, it's like, okay, we got through it. It's Roxanne Perez. Yeah, she's got a bright future, but right now it's clearly the Jade Cargill train. I know it's like the
Haven't tried new Parmesan stuffed crust?
Another goddamn commercial.
Get one for 50% off.
Opening day. That wonderful feeling of maybe just
to be an injury, and I don't believe it to be an injury. It sounds to me like one of the participants in that match, if not both, said, I ain't flying over to Saudi Arabia this weekend. Which, honestly, I don't blame them, because I wouldn't want to either, but somebody made that call, and so the match is off. It'll be rescheduled for a later date. I will tell you which match that is as we go along here. This show tonight was a very middle-of-the-road show. Very middle-of-the-road show with a hot main event between two of the biggest baby faces in the entire company. It was the King of the Ring semi-final between Cody Rhodes and Jey Uso. The winner goes on to Riyadh at Night of Champions in the finals to meet Randy Orton. And in fact, Cody Rhodes will be going to Night of Champions and is finally going to be getting into the ring against Randy Orton. This is a match I've been waiting to see since Cody came back to the company. We're finally getting it, and I think it's going to be the kickoff to something much bigger between those two. But, yeah, these two went in there tonight, Cody and Jey did, and they had what I honestly thought was one of the best singles matches of Jey Uso's entire career. I enjoyed the match he had a couple of weeks ago on TV against Gunther. But this was one of the best matches that Jey Uso has had. On the opposite end of the spectrum, we had a Queen of the Ring semifinal between Jade Cargill and Asuka. That was definitely not the best match of either woman's career. It really wasn't very good. But Jade is on her way. She's on her way to the finals. She will be wrestling at Night of Champions. One step closer is Jade Cargill against Asuka to potentially wearing the crown. I mentioned there was no John Cena or CM Punk on the show tonight. Tonight was not about the WWE Championship. Tonight was about the World Heavyweight Championship. Last week, we had Goldberg back on TV. And I believe the plan is to have Goldberg on most of the shows between now and Saturday night's main event. And for the first time tonight on television, because they've already acknowledged it off the air, but on the actual show, they acknowledge the fact that it will be his retirement match. This will be the last professional wrestling match that this man ever has. We had a sit-down interview with him and Michael Cole that was 30 minutes long, not on the show. You got people listening to this and watching this right now go, wait a minute. There's a 30-minute Goldberg segment on the show. He claimed it was a 30-minute sit-down interview. I would think they would post the entire thing on YouTube. I don't know. I really don't care. They showed a small portion of it on the show. And then we had the World Heavyweight Champion Gunther coming out later in the show to give his response, which was great. Also brief and to the point, like Goldberg's comments were, but so much into the the future Roxanne Liv feud that now we won't get for until 2026.
Oh no, do you think by her being tag team champs with Raquel, given that the women's tag team division is practically non-existent, do you think that she's going to be sucked into that vortex where she really doesn't
100%.
do much?
I'm so confident she's going to get sucked into that vortex, sadly.
Oh no, I hope not. I hate to say this, but I almost hope it just I hate to say the P word, the prop. I almost hope that it's just a prop and we still see Roxanne Perez still do her thing. But I mean, come on, like there's no really other tag teams in the women's division.
But here's the thing. You say to do her thing. Her thing was the Liv Morgan storyline. That was her thing. Now there is no thing right now. You would have
but
to
they can find a thing, Santi. They can find it.
They can find a thing, but like they can't find a thing. I don't think this quickly that is like, oh my goodness, yeah, we got to get Roxy on SummerSlam, for example. I think that her ticket to SummerSlam was limited.
Hot take, you don't need a $400 mic and a $200 interface. The mic I'm using right now was under $22.
Shift from 3-hour SmackDowns back to 2-hour SmackDowns. And the segment's up on the YouTube channel now, got a lot of good feedback from it, and addressed some of the criticisms, the concerns that people have. Some people are unhappy that SmackDown is going back to 2 hours. I am not one of those people. But I said I wasn't sure if next week's show was 2 hours and then it was back to 3 for a little bit until that new show, The Rainmaker, premieres. It's a new legal show on USA. That is premiering on Friday, August 15th.
Alright, I'm sorry. Okay, let me reread it from the beginning. Denise goes Raw. You guys be prepared. Wait, that didn't make it better. Oh well, here. If you love Raw, Blue Chew promo code Denise, go Raw all night. Monday Night Raw. Hey, what do you gotta do? What can I say? Blue Chew promo code Denise, please.
Remember, Denise goes Raw, ladies and gentlemen.
Vanessa Vasquez says, sicker than a dog, but nothing like a Denise and Santi Rob post show for a pick-me-up. Love ya. Vanessa, thank you so much for tuning in, guys. And if you want to make sure that you got a pick-me-up, Blue Chew promo code Denise. I had to. Sorry, the opening was right there.
Hey, listen. If you're shilling dick pills to the correct audience, Denise. Keep doing your thing. You keep doing your thing.
Vanessa, I hope you feel better. Seriously. We got Liv and Rox here who says that booking relates to women. Jade winning to Telegraphed. She had 2 backstage segments talking about the tourney. She's heading towards Naomi. Rox had 0 promos, interviews, and no hints with Io. You know what? I don't blame you on this being too telegraphed. I get it because we're all sitting here going, it's gonna be Jade, and Jade is gonna.
Too bad compared to what we were dealing with during the day. And tomorrow is gonna be the worst day of the entire week. So I'm gonna be sitting here, I'm gonna be sweltering through TNT tomorrow night. Because I turned the air conditioning off as soon as I came on live. I may have to put it back on in a little bit. I'm already getting hot.
Alright, hold on.
Email the other day where they were promoting, I forgot what it was, and Roman Reigns is on that. So maybe I should have read that 2 times because that might be the thing you're talking about, or it might be something else. So either way, I'll look into that because I might be confusing it with something else. Thank you so much, Terrence. We got Liv and Rox here who says another bad booking bit with Rox. Why would there be 0 interference from Judgment Day after Finn hyped her up? That's right. Okay, hold on. I'm trying to think right now because Finn has been. Did you notice, by the way, that Finn has been trying? It looks like he's trying to hook up Dominic and Roxanne Perez today in that backstage segment. He was giving Dominic Mysterio the Ojos, and then also Dominic had a promo today on a commercial break as well with Jackie.
Also, Dominic was on the show.
And I have
I must admit it.
Sorry, totally off. Maybe not too off topic, but. How do you feel about the fact that at WrestleMania, everybody was cheering and rooting for Dominic Mysterio like he was the world's ultimate babyface, and now we're back to booing Dominic Mysterio like never before?
I don't know. I would disagree. I kind of felt like the boos were forced. Like Dominic was trying so hard with the pauses to try and get more boos. I still think like when you go back to like his recent matches, he's the crowd favorite still. So I don't know that that's a very indicative way to see whether or how the crowd feels about Dom in a promo where he was obviously trying goading boos out of people.
Okay, I see what you mean, because I was just trying to think to myself, like, okay, it feels like we skipped a part. It felt like the crowd was wanting to go in a certain direction, but they were like, no, we're not ready to go in that direction. Like, we still got to go in an entirely, we're still going to stick to him being a heel. Like, that's where we're going to stick to. And that's honestly what it felt like to me. Like, we were just trying, like, they didn't want to move forward with him being a babyface. Like if we weren't ready for it at all. That's what that felt like to me.
Alright, come on.
And he built those things in his image. He was the past, the present, and the future. And at that point, he went over to Paul Heyman. He cozied up to Heyman and said that Paul knew a thing or two about revolutions. Every revolution had opposition, but he would deal with them. Bronson Reed dealt with LA Knight on Friday, and Braun Breaker was about to deal with Penta. And there were a lot of people who thought that they could exist at the very top. John Cena, Gunther, CM Punk, Cody Rhodes, Goldberg, Jey Uso, Randy Orton, but they all failed to understand that they were running a race for second place. He was the end game and always would be. And finally, after all this, he was done flapping his gums. This was just a boring opening promo that just droned on and on and on.
Exactly.
But Michael Cole mentioned that LA Knight was out indefinitely with a bruised sternum and separated rib cartilage after those 3 tsunami splashes that he took from Bronson Reed on SmackDown Friday night. And you know, when they did that whole segment, it felt like
She always does. I really like her a whole lot. We got Kicking It with Leo, who says, after seeing Raw tonight, I see how this Judgment Day storyline will play out. I feel like Roxanne will win this title. Liv returns and wins the Rumble. Well, so they did say she was going to be out for 7 months, Santi. That equates to around like January. I don't know if it's start of January, end of January. But I think around Royal Rumble time, we're all going to be talking about the possibility of Liv maybe returning for the Rumble.
I genuinely see her winning the Rumble. Like, how many runner-ups has she had? And now coming back from a long injury, long hiatus, what if somehow Roxy's a world champion by then? I don't know.
Yeah, that would be great, man. But I do feel like those...
Back into the ring, and then he hit a flip dive out onto Breaker on the floor.
Bill Goldberg!
Oh, yeah, that would have
got
sucked.
that done. Yeah.
We got Stephen Marchuli here, who says Jade wins King of the Ring. Queen of the Ring, excuse me. Bianca helps Naomi become champ. That could be finally the heel turn people have been waiting for Bianca. Do you still think that heel turn's happening, Santi?
No. We don't get the Bianca heel turn until she's 47, about to retire and do a retirement tour, okay?
Are we past it already? How sad. Everybody's been waiting for it to happen, though, like, so much. We got JJ Castillo here, who says, can we agree that CM Punk is making Cena heel's run look more great? Also, his pipe bomb on Friday was pure cinema. So excited for their match on Saturday. One of the things I had said, Santi, about John Cena's pipe bomb was that I felt this was far more, aside from the heel turn at Elimination Chamber, aside from maybe one promo with Cody Rhodes, this has been the best thing that we have seen from John Cena's heel turn.
Oh yeah, 100%. The week before, where he was in the ring with like LA Knight, CM Punk, Randy Orton, Cody Rhodes, I said, I'm like, oh, this is the start of the Cena retirement tour. Like, because one of the things that I've been saying is that it felt like going into WrestleMania 41, even in the feud with Randy Orton, it wasn't Cena versus wrestler, it was Cena versus the fans. It's like, we suck, he broke up with us, we're toxic. Now it's Cena versus the cast of heroes trying to stop him from ruining wrestling. And that's when it's going to get good. And it started right after Money in the Bank.
Yeah, this was definitely something that we needed, dude. I was very, very impressed with what they did. The only thing I didn't like was CM Punk laying there for like 20 minutes or however long the promo was. Did you see the memes that people were making of CM Punk? They edited little blanket where he's like on the table, but he's got a little blanket and a little beanie. It was very funny. I thought that was
I've got a little
hilarious. Oh, that's cute. It's all the WrestleMania logos. Oh shit, they sold that. I didn't even know they sold that.
No, this is a third-party company.
Oh, okay, no wonder. I was about to say, I didn't even know they sold that at all. That's so funny. I'm sorry, staying you in a blanket when it's like super hot out here.
Okay, so I have central air, and
okay.
my girlfriend is somebody that hates the heat. Can't stand it. So our house, even though it is a blaring heat wave right now, it is Antarctica right now. It is freezing in here, brother.
Okay, they say that you have to find somebody that has your same degree.
Alright, now let me show y'all JD from New York.
Joining me on your Monday evenings, wherever you may be. Night of Champions. Night of Champions, bro. That's all anybody's talking about right now. And not because the card on Saturday night is one of the best cards that WWE has put on. Oh, no. I couldn't even tell you what 2 matches were before the night started, because all everybody was talking about was if this show is going to go on as scheduled or if it's going to get canceled. That was the news today. Nothing new came out on the news fronts on Monday Night Raw. It is going on as scheduled. No matter the outcries of dirt sheets and all of a sudden make-believe political advisors in the IWC, as if they're getting briefed by the Pentagon.
We take those threats very seriously. They will not be told in Saudi Arabia. We're going to make sure that this arena is secure. Nobody is going to have a weapon, knives, guns, drugs. You can't do that.
Or move the show to the United States at the last minute. Money is money. And if WWE has to give up money, I could see them being the little kid crying all the way back home because they didn't get what they wanted. Oh, Mommy, I wanted the new toy, Mommy. Not gonna happen. WWE is not gonna leave.
Says that Liv Morgan is not the only member of...
For nobody, and nobody's safety. Now, if I was a talent, and I had to go fly to Riyadh, my anxiety levels, normally on a normal flight, could be anywhere, Chicago, Orlando.
Promised him, look, I promise you, as soon as we're able to make it, as soon as Dom is healthy, you will get your Intercontinental Championship match. And AJ walked off. And look, maybe we'll come to find out that there is like a minor injury or something. Dom was on the show. Dom was in the Judgment Day clubhouse a little bit later on. It's not like he wasn't there. Is there a chance that there is a legitimate injury here? Sure. I'm not buying it, though. It sounds to me like someone didn't want to fly to Saudi Arabia.
Yeah.
Maybe it was both of them. Maybe it was AJ. Maybe it was Dom. They're crediting Dom with the injury and storyline. So maybe it was Dom who didn't want to go. Maybe Rey Mysterio said, my son's not going. I'm making an executive decision here. And the deadbeat dad made a good decision for once. Whatever it is, this smells to me like someone didn't want to go. And look, they all should have the option of going or not going. So, show might be on, but if someone doesn't feel comfortable going, then they don't go. It's as simple as that. And they shouldn't be punished or penalized for it. After AJ left, the New Day showed up with Grayson Waller. No Austin Theory, no mention of him. Pierce booked Kofi Kingston and Xavier.
Good. There's nothing wrong with obvious. You know, I would argue that there is something more wrong with unpredictability.
That has your same degree. I think he kind of needs
of their talent, the crew, and the fans.
But it didn't.
And it's going to be good. Jay versus Randy, who the hell wanted to see that?
I don't know. I guess
No, you don't. Yes, you do.
Everyone knew that it was going to be Cody and Randy.
Yes.
but it's the correct choice. Would you really have wanted a swerve? Like, oh my God, I cannot believe they went with Jey Uso, and now you have to stomach Jey Uso versus Randy? You sit there and tell me that that would have been the correct choice.
It
No,
might have been
you
good.
know, you're lying to yourself. You're sitting here genuinely lying to yourself.
Look, I'm not gonna shit on Randy and Jay. I think it could have been something, alright? We'll never know now until it actually happens. Watch them make this match, Santi, and it's gonna be like the greatest match ever. I don't really know that for sure. By the way, we do have, hold on. Johnny O here says 70 degrees Fahrenheit is 21 Celsius.
Alright, that's good. I like 21.
Okay, see, alright, see, you were all making me sound like I was crazy for picking 70. Alright.
I don't know what that means.
21 degrees Celsius.
Hi, I'm Brother Nature.
God damn these damn commercials.
She gets all the credit, but I make it.
UFC, a sporting entertainment company, conduct shows.
No! Okay, by the way, I heard rumors about you, Santi.
Which one of the many? He takes his family to a WWE event as a bystander, as a fan, trying to relax. No stress. He's got no match that night to worry about, thank God. He's got no match to worry about, to train for, to prepare.
Than it really is. Now, I'm not saying that it wasn't bad, because I certainly wouldn't fucking go. But they are just going overboard with everything, man, and they used it as a vehicle.
28 or 58, he's not gonna let someone embarrass him in front of his wife, his son, and his fans the way Gunther did, and that's the Goldberg interview that we got. We also got a Gunther in ring segment that I really liked because he looked deadpan into the camera, really angry, bloodshot, red eyes, and basically said that he was gonna, ask for, he basically warned his family that he was gonna hurt Goldberg, and that's it. Like, he's never faced anybody like Gunther, according to Gunther. So,
I like the Gunther promo. I like the Gunther promo,
right?
and I cannot believe I'm saying this. I really like the Goldberg interview. I thought the Goldberg interview was sick.
Sense.
And him swearing, saying that he's gonna beat the shit out of Gunther. I'm like, oh my God, I'm excited for this. How the hell is this happening? How the hell am I being won over by Gunther versus Goldberg in 2025? Because both of their segments to hype up the match, they both knocked it out of the park individually. They both did an excellent job at getting me excited on this dead-ass on arrival match that I never wanted to see for the world title, and yet here we are. I got a bit excited for it.
I liked that Goldberg's promo made sense because, hey, it doesn't matter how old you are. If you're a man, and someone messes with you, you're gonna be pissed, right? It doesn't matter if the guy's younger than you and you can feel like you can kick his ass, like you can't kick his ass. Like, no, at the end of the day, you're gonna want to stand up for yourself and defend yourself. That's just what you do. So I liked that that's the way that he basically said, hey, this is why I'm getting back in here because he disrespected me and he embarrassed me. I feel everybody here can agree with that and would probably be doing the same thing.
Relatable, for sure.
Exactly. We got Brian Watson here who says no one's talking about Roman.
Sat back and laughed. The only thing that we should be sharing as far as our opinion on this. You don't like them going over there? Whatever.
Comments from me. I don't know why.
Yeah, I mean, like, it's just that there's not that much history between them, right?
I think it make history.
I mean, they have two matches, right? They have the 2017 one and then the 2021 one. I think it'd be cool if before Cena retires, we have one confrontation between those two.
All right, that's fair. Thank you, Brian. Thank you so much for setting that in. I'm cool with anything at this point. I'm just here along for the ride. Whatever happens, man. All right, let me go ahead and let's see what else do we get. We got the Gunther segment. Oh yeah. Becky Lynch, Bayley, Women's Intercontinental Championship. As most of us predicted, we had Lyra come in here, cause a DQ. We were talking earlier about 2 plus 2 equaling 4. I think for the most part, we all knew this is what was going to happen, Santi.
I know, but could they?
219? What are you doing? Sit-ups. I want to get a six-pack
All
in
right,
the
come on.
summer. Or like a six-pack of beer. You can do that. Fine.
You want to get your revenge on me? You want a shot at my World Heavyweight Championship? I'll tell you what. I'm willing to put something on the line, but you've got to put something on the line, too. And what you should put on the line, what I want you to put on the line in this match is your career. If you think you can beat me, you actually think you can beat me? 58-year-old Bill Goldberg, you're going to beat me? You were the big star when I was a kid. I'll put my championship on the line, you put your career on the line, and then you get a title versus career match. And instead, like, it's just, again, it's so lazy the way that they are just slapping this together as if they just legitimately just want to get it over with, and they didn't even care enough to put too much effort into, you know, thinking about the rollout here, which is surprising because Goldberg
Weren't deemed loyal to the company at some point. Hopefully WWE understands that everybody in this situation is not going to want to go for safety and fear of their life. Because what normal human being would want to fly overseas in that airspace when there is unrest and unpredictability like that? Because I know I would. So hopefully WWE has afforded this liberty to those people on the roster, whether they are active in-ring performers or staff members who have to be there on the production side of things. That's it. That's all these people have to say on social media. Yet they're getting into arguments and back and forth, and people just making fucking just an embarrassment of themselves, bro. You are a fucking pro wrestling dirt sheet. You are the lowest of common denominators in all of sports, bro. We all are.
Twitch. It's picking up steam.
Oh,
Yeah.
shit. Oh, man. Oh,
It
God.
is
Another
never
thing to
ending
get
amount of
on.
places. Another
Yeah.
thing.
Another thing. All right. Well, anyways, as for me, @_Jenny Salcedo everywhere, YouTube, Twitter, and Instagram, and Facebook, and all the places, @_Jenny Salcedo. Thank you guys so much as always, and we'll catch you guys on the next one. Bye, everyone.
Oh. So hopefully he has a good match. I talked about Goldberg on the podcast this weekend. I said, you know, the match he had with Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania 33 is one of the best matches that he had in his entire WWE career, from the first run to the most recent run that he had. That right there was as good of a match as you could possibly ask for from those two guys. It was smash mouth. It was
Exactly.
5 or 6 minutes. It was mostly finisher, spam, and suplex city and all that, but that's exactly what it needed to be. And then
Yeah.
you've had Goldberg matches that are the exact opposite, that are absolute dog shit.
Yeah.
And if this is going to be the man's final match,
Yeah.
then I hope he gets to go out on a high note.
Hopefully.
I certainly don't want to watch Gunther go out there and have a stinker. Gunther has had matches with people, like, look at the matches with Jey Uso. Jey Uso is not the best in-ring singles performer. He's not. He's not the most dynamic performer that they have in the ring. And if you tried to make a top 10 Jey Uso's singles matches list, you're gonna struggle, okay? You're gonna really have some struggles, because his best matches really were with his brother, you know, and some of those Usos matches with the New Day, and other matches they've had over the years, Shield or whatever. So, for his sake, I hope he can go out there. I hope that he can have the greatest 4 minutes of his life, you know, outside of whatever he may have had with his girlfriend earlier in his life. You know, the best 3 or 4 minutes of his life. And we could be done with this, and he can ride off into the sunset and be content that he got to end his career on his terms in the way that he wanted to. Because he's been complaining and huffing and puffing about this match now for several years. That this was owed to him. That this was promised to him by Vince McMahon. I was owed a retirement match. So, for his sake, I hope it goes well. And then when Gunther beats him, Gunther can gloat that he's the man who retired the great Bill Goldberg, who, as he told Bret Hart on Raw once upon a time, is his favorite wrestler of all time. I'm surprised that he hasn't brought that up yet. I thought he would bring that up at some point in one of his promos. Well, there's still time, I guess. Back in the Judgment Day Clubhouse, Finn Balor spoke with Raquel Rodriguez. Dominic Mysterio was there. Didn't look very...
you're a contractor or a master technician, Harbor Freight understands your job depends upon a lot.
Alright, here we go.
It's a fucking house show on Saturday afternoon. These Saudi shows are more than likely gonna be lifeless every time we gotta sit down and watch them. Monday night, tonight, on Raw, did not do anything to get me any more excited about Night of Champions. No John Cena. I thought Cena was supposed to be there. Apparently he wasn't. No John Cena. No CM Punk. We may see them on Friday, hopefully. And SmackDown will be live in Riyadh, here on tape delay in the United States. Very much looking forward to seeing what CM Punk has to say after John Cena basically reenacted in his own way CM Punk's pipe bomb almost 10 years ago, over 10 years ago. So hopefully that's happening on Friday. No Cena, no Punk. WWE got everything situated. King of the Ring final is now set. Queen of the Ring final is now set. And if you listen to what I have to say here on a weekly basis, this comes as no surprise to anybody. It is Cody Rhodes and Randy Orton in the King of the Ring final, and it is Jade Cargill and Asuka in the Queen of the Ring final. Exactly what I had laid out for you 3 weeks ago when this tournament got started. I am not surprised at all. The only surprising thing was that Charlotte did not win her match, and Alexa Bliss did. Asuka then went on to beat Alexa, and she's in the finals. Jade Cargill tonight beat Roxanne Perez. She's in the finals with Asuka. They have history there in the tag team division when Jade was teaming with Bianca and Asuka was teaming with Io. We got those two elements involved with each other once again in the Queen of the Ring. No explanation needed for the history with Randy Orton and Cody Rhodes. Hopefully that match serves as the deterioration of babyface Randy Orton, and we start to see Randy slowly start to become a heel. I think that's the great thing about this, man. That is what people want to see. That version of Randy, especially against Cody, as Cody is eyeing John Cena and his way back to John Cena to win the WWE Championship at SummerSlam. If this leads to Randy Orton slowly starting to begin that heel turn and get envious and annoyed and jealous of Cody Rhodes, I could see that playing into the ending of that match. So that's going to be interesting to see play out as well. Gunther. He's going one-on-one with Bill Goldberg at Saturday night's main event. Goldberg did not appear live in front of the audience tonight. Gunther did. And quite honestly, I could sit here and shit on Bill Goldberg for being 58 years old and not being able to move, and he probably tore a fucking knee or blew out a knee on his way to the ring last week. But I thought the sit-down interview with Bill Goldberg and Michael Cole tonight that they pre-taped was very well done.
Yeah, very good.
And Gunther's promo in the ring in front of the live audience was even better.
Yep.
And I'm not really excited about their match. I'm actually quite concerned about their match. A lot of people making a big deal about, keep an eye out, this might not be Bill Goldberg's last match. I don't know exactly what the fuck they're insinuating. Are we really thinking that Bill Goldberg wins the World Heavyweight Championship in his quote-unquote final match? Can you imagine? Is this going to be a Crown Jewel, Goldberg, and Fiend rant all over again? Please, I don't want to have to dive into the depths of my soul to deliver a rant like that again, please. I don't want to. I don't want to do that. I'm sure you guys would be greatly entertained, but listen, man. As I get older, man, I don't want to add more gray to the beard. There's enough grays, please. Some people on social media scaring the shit out of me. I do not want to see that. Is Triple H that fucking stupid? Gunther cut a great promo. He doesn't get enough credit for his promo work. Goldberg actually had a very good sit-down interview with Michael Cole. We'll go over what was said in those two particular segments as well tonight. Braun Breaker went one-on-one with Penta. Seth Rollins, listen, man, he's going to eventually cash in and become the world champion. By the time we get there, is anybody going to care is my question.
I think we're all hoping that Seth Rollins is gonna get screwed. He's gonna lose. I don't know what it's taking Roman Reigns so long, but he gotta come back and screw Seth Rollins so we can do Reigns and Rollins. Because Seth Rollins is getting boring. The same shit every week, cutting the boring promos that are not working. It's not fitting for all the fans. It's not fitting for me or anyone else out here listening to this. Paul Heyman hasn't said anything. Why can't Paul Heyman do all the talking? Paul Heyman, great. Why is it only Seth Rollins? Seth Rollins, it's nauseating to watch. I think Seth is better than Reigns on the microphone. Braun Breaker and Bronson are nothing but lackey. They're Rollins' business. Bronson really hasn't really done much with it since he joined this group. Braun Breaker done a lot more. He had a great match with Penta. I don't know why Braun Breaker didn't win Money in the Bank. Seth Rollins is not cashing in on John Cena. He's not cashing on Gunther. Gunther's a heel. Cena is a heel. Rollins is a heel. He might cash in on Punk, and that's his rival who he was feuding with. And they might get Roman Reigns coming back. We'll have to wait and see. Seth is not cashing in on Goldberg and Gunther. You're not going to ruin Goldberg's retirement match.
I want to. I'm trying. I am trying. The fact that we don't have a fucking name for his group is not a good look.
Exactly.
We'll talk about what Rollins said. Like I said, Breaker and Penta went one-on-one. Jade and Asuka tonight. We'll talk about that. Jade continues to look absolutely and completely lost out there. Roxanne carried. And I mean fucking carried, bro. Against Jade Cargill. And Rhea Ripley is chasing Raquel Rodriguez, which could lead to Roxanne filling in for Liv Morgan as one half of the tag team champions. We'll go over that as well as WWE seemingly does not want to give up on the women's tag team championships. A very mundane episode of Monday Night Raw that was main evented by Cody Rhodes and Jey Uso, which wasn't bad, but very predictable. A very mundane, straightforward Monday Night Raw. There was no real surprises. There was no real excitement. There was no real energy to it. I think everybody was overly concerned about Night of Champions, whether it was going to happen, whether it's not going to happen. It's still on. It's still scheduled. We'll talk about it. We'll get into it. I want to thank you guys for joining me here on Monday night. This is the Monday Night Raw post show for your June 23rd, 2025. Tomorrow night, we celebrate 100 episodes. Snow Monster and I are very happy that we have gotten to this point. I'm very, very fortunate to have someone like him in my corner to Mario Kart Monday after the stream.
Alright. Hold on.
Put up or shut up. And Rusev smiled and said he would make Sheamus remember this. Then we had the World Heavyweight Champion, Gunther, out to the ring. Look at Richie Rich over here dropping all this money on me. But first, hey, I just want you to know. But first, I think you rock. I don't mean The Rock, A-Rock. You rock. And I just wanted you to know that. Oh my. Bombs away. These are the good bombs. Not like the other bombs we've been hearing about all week. These are the good bombs here. These are the red bomb. Look at Richie Rich over here. Oh my God, we got two of them. This money on me. Hey, I just want you to know. Am I seeing double vision here? I think you rock. I don't mean The Rock, A-Rock. You rock. And I just wanted you to know that. Oh my goodness, back-to-back bombs. Are these bunker busters? I don't know.
5 out of 10 without the crowd. That's accurate. Yeah, that's accurate.
Alright, let me get back to this. So, I'm not as invested in Goldberg and Gunther as WWE wants me to be. Because I know Goldberg's going to lose. And so, because of that, I'm not... What made me love Goldberg wasn't just the streak, right? It wasn't just this idea that he was unbeaten and he was unstoppable. He was this force that would run through everybody, right? But what made him legit for me
Well, some out there has experienced technical difficulties, so you gotta wait for that. Must have bad connection.
There are two names. There are two names that are floating around in the rumor mill about potentially joining Seth Rollins and this yet unnamed group. Those names are Ethan Page and Ricky Starks. Now, I think it would be great for either one of them to join, because whoever does join is going to automatically get a main event boost on Monday night. But I do think one of the two is a better fit for Seth Rollins, and I do think that Ethan Page from NXT, the current North American champion, is a better fit for Seth Rollins and this new group. If you even want to call it new. It's not really new anymore. I think Ethan Page is a better fit. He's got the attitude that Rollins is looking for, as does Ricky Starks, but I think Ricky Starks needs to get over on his own, and putting him in a group where more than likely he's going to be a fall guy, I don't really look at Ricky Starks or want to see Ricky Starks as being a fall guy. Every group needs a fall guy. Every group needs a guy that someone else can beat. I don't want to see that be Ricky Starks. I don't want to see it be Ethan Page either, but there are other variables that go into Ethan Page being a better fit than Ricky Starks for the group. But we're not there yet. We got what we got with Breakker, Reed, and Rollins. But there is a rumored fourth man possibly coming for Rollins' group. They sang his song in Columbus, Ohio. Corey Graves was back on commentary this week. Always great to hear Corey Graves. Much prefer Corey Graves over Pat McAfee. The show just feels like Raw when Graves is there. They mentioned LA Knight. Corey Graves mentioned LA Knight. LA Knight interfered against Bronson Reed. Then Bronson Reed attacked LA Knight on SmackDown. Cole said Knight would be out indefinitely because of 3 tsunamis on Friday Night SmackDown. LA Knight is in the rumor mill as well. He's in the news. And the news is LA Knight is getting prepped for a move from Friday to Monday, which is the best move for him. So if you guys see LA Knight pop up on Raw, he's going to be a full-fledged member sooner rather than later on the Monday Night Raw roster. Seth is in the middle of the ring. He welcomed everybody to Monday Night Rollins. He also said the fans cheer him 1 minute and then boo him the next. Fickle fans. He said the fans need a visionary like him to tell them what is good for them. He said Roman Reigns wouldn't exist if it wasn't for Seth Rollins. He said CM Punk's claim that he came back to WWE because of his name. We got loud CM Punk chants. He said Punk is back in the WWE because WWE wanted to cash in on how much he hated Punk. He said there is no second coming of Cody Rhodes if he wasn't there to put him on the map. He says he was the first NXT champion and the first world heavyweight champion. Those things exist the way that they are because I built them in my image. He says he is the creator and prime mover. He then put his arm around Paul Heyman. He called Paul Heyman his oracle. You know, I understand that WWE needs a powerful heel faction to be the centerpiece of their WWE television. I didn't really think that they were going to give Seth Rollins basically his own bloodline and boil it down to even calling Paul Heyman his oracle. Whereas Paul Heyman was the wise man in the bloodline. Can we at least pretend like it's a little bit different, please? Why does every group need to be modeled after the bloodline? The bloodline was great. It existed and it helped in so many different aspects. We don't need to basically kill the bloodline and then recreate the bloodline, which is basically not the bloodline, but a Walmart version of the bloodline with Paul Heyman and call him the Oracle. I'm not watching the fucking Matrix. I'm not watching Neo. I don't want to see a recreation of the bloodline. I'd like them to be a little bit more original. He said every revolution faces opposition, and he will deal with that diplomatically until the opposition pushes.
Alright, I'm gonna have to stop the video. I made this long enough. Until next time, hit that like button, leave a comment, please subscribe to my channel. Thank you for watching, thank you for all the support. Gonna end the video right here. I think I will do an AEW Dynamite since my birthday's on Wednesday. It would be good night to celebrate my birthday on Wednesday. And I will tell you guys more news and rumors. Until next time, this is Jacob Cast 2024. I'll see y'all later.